Hello everyone. In this short video, let us learn a few important points about the sodium. Sodium, also known as natrium, is a macro mineral, also known as major element. So, few minerals are known as macro minerals whose daily requirement is more than 100 milligrams per day. So, sodium is one such mineral. So it's called major element or macro mineral. The one more important characteristic feature of sodium is it is the chief cation of the extracellular fluid. You know, cation is positively charged ions. There are many positively charged ions both inside the cell and outside the cell. But sodium concentration is the highest in the extracellular fluid. So it's a chief cation of the extracellular fluid. One more important point we should learn about sodium is the sodium concentration in the plasma is intimately associated with water balance in the body, because the sodium and water both are regulated by the aldosterone renin angiotensin aldosterone system RAS. Sodium regulates the extracellular fluid volume because it is associated intimately with the water balance in the body. What are the major sources of sodium in the food? So the major source for all of us is common salt, also known as sodium chloride, which is used in the cooking salt. The other sources include whole grains, nuts, leafy vegetables, eggs, milk, etc. So what is the RDA? Recommended dietary allowance, sometimes called as recommended daily allowance. For normal adults, 5 to 10 grams of sodium has to be taken in the diet, and the quantity should decrease in the persons with the family history of hypertension. Because when the persons have family history of hypertension, they tend to become hypertensive. So we know sodium is responsible for the extracellular fluid and in turn blood pressure. So persons with family history of hypertension should take less than 5 grams of sodium every day, because there is an increased risk of hypertension development in those persons. It is important to reduce the quantity of sodium intake. And if the patient himself or herself is hypertensive, then the sodium per day has to be restricted within 1 grams. So it is essential to remember 10 gram of sodium chloride contains 4 gram of sodium. So the major source of sodium what we use is common salt, and around 10 gram to 15 gram of sodium chloride is sufficient for supplying the daily sodium requirement. We should keep in mind that sodium is also present in various other food items including whole grains, nuts, leafy vegetables, eggs and milk. Coming to the serum level of sodium and how this serum level is regulated. The normal serum level is 136 to 145 milliequivalents per liter, and the sodium concentration has to be balanced, has to be within this range of 136 to 145 milliequivalents per liter. How it is regulated? It is mainly regulated by the aldosterone. Aldosterone is a mineralocorticoid synthesized from the adrenal cortex, and this adrenal cortex synthesizes aldosterone. This aldosterone controls the reabsorption of sodium at the distal convoluted tubule. ADH is also another factor which affects the sodium regulation. ADH increases the water absorption from the DCT. Along with that, sodium absorption also increases. Rate of sodium excretion in the urine is directly affected by the rate of filtration of sodium in the glomeruli. So this means sodium excretion depends on the GFR, glomerular filtration rate, which in turn depends on renal plasma flow and blood pressure. One more important point we should remember is our kidneys are very effectively designed to conserve the sodium. This we can see if a person takes a sodium free diet, the urine does not contain sodium. So, such beautifully, the sodium excretion is regulated by the kidneys. Coming to the biochemical functions of the sodium, sodium has multiple functions. So, it is required for the regulation of acid-base balance. We know the normal pH of the blood is 7.35 to 7.45, and this pH has to be maintained in this very narrow range, which is carried out by the buffer systems. The major buffer system in the body is bicarbonate buffer, and the second important one is phosphate buffer. Both of these are made up of sodium salts of the weak acids. Sodium is also required for the maintenance of osmotic pressure and fluid balance. So we all know that we calculated the osmolality using the 2 times concentration of sodium. So that shows the importance of sodium in the osmotic pressure maintenance. It is also required for the intestinal absorption of glucose, galactose and various amino acids. So if you remember, SGLT, sodium dependent glucose transporter, is required in the intestine for the absorption of glucose. So usually glucose is absorbed along with sodium. Sodium is also responsible for muscle excitability, initiating and maintaining the heartbeat, even the cell permeability. The cell membrane permeability is also dependent on the sodium concentration. Sodium also required for maintenance of electrical neutrality in neurons. And the final one is formation of bile salts. So the bile acids are formed as a degradative products of cholesterol, which will combine with sodium and potassium ions to form the bile salts, namely glycocholic acid and taurocholic acid. They combine with sodium to form sodium glycocholate and sodium taurocholate, which are the important bile salts. Thank you.